Welcome back. So I'm going to walk you through at a high level the flow of this tool, what it accomplishes, and the different activities and resources associated with the design team discovery tool. So I've already started by plugging in our team here. This is the MindWire team. And the first tab that we're looking on is work styles. So the goal is to use a common language to build individual awareness and explore complementary strengths and even areas of friction. There is a team building activity here. You can download this as a PDF and send it out to the team, or you can just expand these to view the instructions and recommended questions. So the first step is to look at individual strengths. Again, you can click on a person and review the strengths and preferred work style that PI generates. But we also want the team to talk about the strengths that they recognize, so real world examples of the strengths that the team brings. And be sure to call out the balancers of the team, someone who might not be where the majority of the team is, and talk about their unique strengths. The second activity is relationships. You can also use a relationship guide for this activity. And the relationships is, let's pair together two people at a time and have them discuss areas where they work well together, potential areas of friction, and just increase that self-awareness, that camaraderie, and get the common language out there of, this is the way I do work, this is the way you do work, so let's talk about how we can best work together and let those strengths complement each other. So after these, the next step is team type. So after we've looked at individual strengths, we want to look at the collective strengths of the team. PI is going to assign you a team type based on where individuals fall in the map. So based on who you have on this team, it's going to assign you a team type. We're a pathfinding team. There's a short description here, but you can also expand this and get a paragraph description. And it'll tell you what % of teams we work with that are pathfinding teams, for example. Once you scroll down, we've got strengths and blind spots. These are automatically generated based on the team type and who you have on the team. So these are the common strengths that we see of a pathfinding team and the potential blind spots of a pathfinding team based on your PI behavioral strengths and factors. There's a team building activity here that, again, you can look at in the downloaded packet, or you can expand in the software. The goal is to, of course, discuss the strengths and blind spots, increase self-awareness, and use some more real-world examples to talk about what this team's performance is like, what resonates with them, and be aware of potential gaps that you have. Are there any individuals on the team that naturally fill those gaps, and are they being appreciated and taken care of? Or is there a gap that we're not filling and it's causing some friction? What are some ideas we can start generating about how to overcome that? Next is, of course, overcoming that with some takeaways. So this is what we want you to spend the most time on to get to action. There are some recommended actions here. So based on a pathfinding team, here are the 3 areas that most pathfinding teams find helpful to overcome their blind spots. You can expand these to view those examples. And then there's the team action plan worksheet. You definitely want to download this and send it to the team or print it out if you're live, and work through the steps of which blind spot do you want to tackle first. We don't want to boil the ocean. We want to look at one thing at a time. And what are some specific real actions that we can take and real people we can assign responsibility and accountability to create that team camaraderie and overcome that blind spot and become a higher performing team that works effectively together. There's also a team summary where you can view a PDF of what we've covered so far. So you don't need to take screenshots of everything. You can just look at the team summary and send that out to the team. So that's the first step, discovering your team type, talking about how the team works together and what the strengths are on the team as a whole. The next session is looking at objectives. So we want to look at the strategy of this team. The first step is to identify, is this a leadership team or a standard team? Because objectives and goals are very different for a standard team versus a leadership team. So you can select which area you're in. And then there is an auto recommended, but we want to skip that. What we want you to do is actually have the team select from these items up to 5 items that they're actively working on as an objective and strategy. Now these are generic, so you'll need to translate these into your world. But we want you to select no more than 5 of what the team is actively working on. As you see them populate, you'll see them show up here on the left in purple bars. The goal is not to have one in each quadrant or one in all quadrants. The goal is to select real objectives and strategies that this team is working on. And again, you might need to translate that. So for us, implement new systems and processes really means implement our Mindware analytics platform that we've developed. And invest in our sales team and marketing team really means that we're going to hire a marketing person this year. So you can select, are these goals for your 6-month objective, 9 months, annual strategy, whatever you want to apply. Make sure you're picking the real ones. And then down below, we've got a team activity here. Again, you can download this packet or just expand it and review the items and questions here. So we want you to identify your top 5 objectives, make sure there's alignment on the team, and then rephrase those objectives, right, to get those specific examples and specific strategies. And then talk about, what are they confident in that they can execute well? Where might they struggle? What do they already know that they need help on? And discuss those confidences and concerns. So once you've selected that and had that preliminary discussion, the next is to look at your team type and objectives. This is the second tab. Based on the objectives you've selected, it's going to give you, again, kind of a reference profile for the type of strategy that you have. So we are a pathfinding team, and we're pursuing an executing strategy. You can expand this for more details to get that paragraph view. It is really common to see the strategy be different from the team type. So don't worry if that's you, that's what this strengths and blind spots are for. We don't want them to align, we want them to be real. So when you're looking at the strengths and potential blind spots, there's an activity here. We want the team to discuss what resonates with them, what they identify with, what are some real examples they can use for either of these strengths or potential blind spots. If they're already aware of team members that fill these gaps, or if there are gaps that aren't being filled right now that we need to have some more action plans on. This is kind of just a preliminary discussion because the next step is takeaways. So this is what we want you to spend most of the time on. Based on these strengths, blind spots, and our strategy, what actions do we want to take in order to be an effective team, in order to execute well, to be a high-performing team? So again, here are some sample takeaways based on research of what we know about the team type and the strategy type, what is recommended of how to improve the team's work style, and how to build a culture to reach your goals. You can expand these and look at these suggestions. And then what we really want you to focus on is this action plan worksheet. So go ahead and download this and it'll give you a selection of helping narrow down to make a clear action plan. So what are 1 or 2 things we want to work on? Is it one objective? Is it one blind spot? Again, you don't want to boil the ocean here. You can't do everything at once. So we want to pick what's going to make the most impact to a high-performing team, not the easiest thing, what's going to make the most impact. So taking really time to fill out this action plan worksheet is critical so that this whole tool is more than just interesting. We want to move beyond self-awareness and interesting to, wow, we've got some real actions that we can take in order to be accountable and to get more outcomes as a team. So the last thing here, you can press finish and you can look at the team summary. The team summary is a printout or a PDF of everything that we've looked at. So again, you don't need to take screenshots. You can just download this on the right here or print it and provide it to the team members. We're going to look at who's on the team, where they fall, what our strategies are that we selected. You can scroll down and read all those descriptions and expansions on team type, strengths. It also goes on to do the strategy type, strengths and blind spots, and recommendations. The only part that's separate is those action plans that you filled out as a team. There are also some other resources here that you can click at that'll get you like a poster of your team type. It'll get you some more resources and interesting videos. But our focus is going to be the team summary and those action items. So that's the overview of the Team Discovery tool.